Please welcome Joanna Barsh.
Madonna had 4 minutes to change the world. We have 15 minutes to change everything about work. We can do it, right? Because this is about talent rising. This is about you. Let's go. Where are we going? Talent rising. Dondi. Here's the story. You know, I'm from McKinsey. I always tell you the story. The story is we've made great strides until now. Okay, the first thing is if you go back 20, 30, 40 years, women have come to work. And I think our president may have mentioned this the other night. More women are working than ever. However, the numbers don't lie. We know we are stuck. If anybody in this room is from HR or D&I, you know how hard this is. We are working our asses off, excuse my French, but we have very little progress to show for it. However, what if there was a fresh approach and we could get to the next horizon? What if that were true? Well, there is, and we're going to talk about it today. Okay, that's why I'm so excited. Now, first the story. Okay, the data. You need a few facts if you're going back to your companies. And the first one is, 38% women elected to boards. Great, but there's only 22% women on boards to begin with. And as we all know, that's not women, those are seats. So there's probably a lot less given how we behave. However, quotas are working in many, many countries. So if you look at the countries that are in pink, what that means is they have a government mandate or a quota, and that's the percentage of women on their boards on average on the largest public boards. And if you look at that squiggly pink line, those are the executive committees. So it's okay if you're in Japan, life isn't that good for women. But if you're in France or Norway, you are the world leader, not the United States. However, United States, we're not chopped liver, as they say. Only 12 Fortune 500 boards do not have a woman on it right now. But even better news, if you're from California, you know this. Quotas for women on boards has come to this country, and it's happening right here. Okay, but still, the journey of women to the very top sucks. In 2018, we had 25 women as CEO of Fortune 500 companies, down from 32. And at the very beginning of this year, so we're up to 27 because 2 more women stepped up and nobody has stepped down as yet. As of today, thank you, Broadsheet, for helping me with the information. But lean in, McKinsey. If lean in and McKinsey are in the house, thank you for this famous chart. This is the pipeline of women moving through corporate America. And you can see, oh, pretty good. We're almost half of the entry-level class, and we're 22% of the C-suite. But if you start to compare it to all the lean in McKinsey, wonderful data from the past, and let's say this is not exactly apples to apples, so we gotta have a grain of salt and all of that other stuff. Unless you're at the beginning or you're at the end, there is no progress. In fact, there is zippo progress in the middle. What are we gonna do about it? Research, thank you makers, thank you Verizon Media. We launched research, and some of you were here last year. Can I see who was here last year? Well, it turned out to be true. Remember I told you it was a progress review and that I could change my mind about everything? Well, we did, in fact, interview 60 companies. We've done 115 interviews so far. I can't tell you who these companies are because it's confidential. However, if your company has not been interviewed, I will interview you. You have to be a senior business executive or senior HR, and I know you all are, so that's cool. What did we do the research on? Actions to advance women and people of color at work. What are the companies doing? What are you doing that's working? And since we're talking confidentially, what are you doing that's not working? These conversations were so honest. Yes, I got snowed by a bunch of people, but 115 interviews, they didn't all snow me. And it was anonymous. Some people had actually left their company but chose to talk to me anyway. So what did we learn? Disruptive is the word. Disruptive innovation, but nuanced implementation. What the heck does that mean? Okay, so here's what companies are doing today en masse. Not all companies, most companies. They have a business case, they have a strategy, they have a D&I role, they have metrics up the wazoo, which they analyze. In fact, some of you have probably seen those metrics. Most companies have some kind of sponsorship or mentorship program. They have benefits and policies. They're all proud, the ones who have a nursing room. Woo! And employee resource groups, we all have them. ERGs. I love the way everything is reduced to a few letters. Now, they have made pledges. Hey, they've pledged. They got badges. They report to the board. They mandate a candidate on every slate. They roll out unconscious bias training. We've all been trained. We all have bias. We know that now. And did I mention the employee resource group? Okay. And that playbook, which we all do, no longer works. That was the list of actions from the companies that are actually not making much progress. It's so high on the CEO agenda. We've got the goals. We have the metrics and the measures, and we're not making progress. In fact, we're exhausted. Could you please talk about something else besides diversity? Can we let's call it belonging. Now we're all going to talk about belonging. We know what that means. Oh, and here's the one I love the most. Do you realize there are 200,000 people in this company? I don't know how to get to them. I have CEOs telling me, it's crazy, but all those people in the middle, they're the enemy, not me. And finally, the most honest of all, we won the award. You know what the award is. Actually, we won it 10 years ago with that playbook. It's not working anymore. And the final thought, we need a more disruptive approach. I just don't know what that looks like. Okay, so time today, in the next 14 minutes, 7 minutes, to show you what it means to look with fresh eyes. It starts with 3 frames. You know framing and reframing from centered leadership? Let's do it right now. First frame. What? Let's see this as complex, not complicated. Hold that thought. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. Let's work on shifting mindsets, starting with the CEO and top team, all the way through the company. Piece of cake, right? No. And let's apply design thinking and this new buzzword, whatever you want to call it, entrepreneurial, innovative, agile. Come on, consultants. Just say a fresh approach. So let me tell you what complexity means. People think this is total baloney, but it's actually not. Any of you who work in diversity, you get this. We don't even know what the problem is. We don't agree on the problem. There are no rules, no analytics. You can't learn this from a book. You can't learn this in business school. There isn't a recipe. In fact, you could do all those things and not get to the outcome, even though they're good things to do. And people are the problem. If we could just switch them all out, we'd be fine. And we can't, because the next group coming in are still part of the problem. There is no silver bullet. Let's stop talking and looking for one. Let's go on to frame 2. Imagine yourself and everybody you don't know in this room to be an iceberg. And now go deep into the iceberg, all the way to the bottom of the water. And down there, you know what's really at stake, what you most need as a human being. We don't bring that to work. When people last night talk about bringing your full self to work, you don't bring that stuff. That's full of fear and nightmare. And so you do your best to protect it. And guess what? You may not even know what you most need. But right above there is your beliefs and your mindsets. And right above that is remember yourself sitting in a meeting and feeling and thinking and saying, I'm never gonna say that. And then above that is behavior. What we say and do, what we don't say, what we don't do. So if you think that you can change the behavior of an organization without going to the bottom of the iceberg, at least to the beliefs, not gonna happen. We've gotta start with mindset. And then third, business logic is wonderful for all kinds of things. Fixing machinery, getting efficient. CEO of Verizon Media loves efficiency. Then you need business logic. I'm with you. I love efficiency too. I only have 4.5 minutes, so let's go. Instead, test, learn, adapt. Instead of saying, I have to solve this problem, start with, what are we trying to achieve? Instead of saying, I know the answer because I'm the analyst, ask everybody else what they think. Instead of getting the expertise, the D&I expert, and saying, you go solve that problem, let's have all the people come together to help solve the problem. That's frame 3. 3 simple frames change this approach. And guess what? Somebody out there is actually doing this. They start at the top. What do? They reset the goal. In complex problems, you try to just make it better. You can't get to the answer. We just discovered that. So you make things better. They start with from-to mindsets. What's our mindset now? We want the best talent to get to the top, AKA wonderful white men. And now we're gonna change that. We actually want the people who can truly take this company into the future, whoever they are and from whatever seat they sit. Now, what are the words and behaviors that I can use to demonstrate that as a top team? We need infrastructure changes. Yes, we kind of need to tie all of this to compensation. We need to look at the numbers. We need to discuss the numbers. That's infrastructure. That's the easy part. And then people. Let's just change the makeup of the top team. And we can do that. It's possible. Number 2, we're going to need an army of people. Positive influencers. Any social media influencers in this room, you understand this. Who are these people? They're well respected by the organization. They're networked all over the place. They actually have a sphere of influence. They have natural leadership. People do follow them. They are role models for the mindsets and the behaviors that we want to put in place. They're already doing it. This is easy, and they're excited to finally help take the company in this direction. But have you equipped them to lead? Do they have the skills? That's the next part. And then finally, they test. Take these people and ask them to help you reimagine talent management and to make the workplace sticky for everybody who's of talent. And what does that mean? There are 80 actions in this research. Here's one of my favorites. Set the Rooney Rule at 50%. Forget about one candidate. We want half the candidates to be diverse because in that way we have a chance of increasing diversity. Or we need guardian angels for every talented, diverse individual. This is pretty straightforward. What about stepstone roles? A lot of women in companies don't step up to the manager role, but would step up to the associate management role. In our cost-cutting fervor of the last 10 years, we took all those roles away. They don't exist. We basically went backwards in terms of the infrastructure that we need to help women and people of color to gain the confidence, the skills, the experiences, the relationships to advance. And make it okay, my favorite, to be human at work. What does that mean? I feel sad today. Is there somebody I could talk about in this audience with that? Actually, I feel pretty great because my kid just called me and she never does. So I'll talk about that if you prefer. And the fourth thing, which is the hardest thing, is that companies pay attention to resilience. What does this mean? This is a quote from one company that's out far ahead of all of us. And here's what they said. About 15 years ago, they've been at this. They had a class action suit. An African-American rightfully sued and won a lot of money, along with all of that person's colleagues. So the CEO got it, said we got to change. We've got to make this a place where everybody wants to come to work. And so they went on that journey with this new CDO. And they learned if we don't come to work with intentionality every day, we always default to the old behavior. What do people say? I don't have time. I just have to have the guy who did it before. And his name is Joe, and he's right here, and he looks exactly like me. So you do a lot of stuff. And one year they experimented, and they found it didn't work, even though they all loved the idea. And so they have to keep their foot on the gas. That's exhausting, 15 years of coming to work with your foot on the gas. So what happens? We don't actually declare victory because it's not done. And in fact, this particular woman said, I'm afraid. What happens next? It's like Fahrenheit 451. It's all inside of me. So that's the gist of the research. There's a briefing in your bag. If you think about this, ask your company 5 questions. Do we even have a clear aspiration to shift culture? Is this what we're trying to do? Or are we trying to do something else? Like just get one African American, one Latina, one woman into, let's just call it quits, guys, we've done it. And a couple of companies believe that. Is the top team really on board? You know what that means? Go back to the iceberg. In their mindsets and beliefs, is this really what they want to do? Or are they being compliant? Are they open? Are they willing to be self-aware? Because generally speaking, they're a fairly homogenous top team. Are they open to change? Are they curious about their own iceberg? Did they have an aha moment that allowed them to reset? Are they going to dedicate the kind of resources we're talking about, the army of influencers, the testing and learning? And finally, is the organization ready? This is a cultural shift to test and learn. I know the word agile is kind of sexy, so you could use that word. Hey, everybody's going agile. I would like to be agile too. If you know that the answer to all 5 questions is yes, then your organization is ready, and we at Makers want to talk to you about that, and we want to help you go forward and put together companies into a moonshot, which I'm not going to explain what that is because I am out of time. Thank you so much for listening.